Okay, let's dive into one of the most incredible processes happening inside your body right this second, mitosis. I mean, think of it as your body's own internal, super precise biological copy-paste function. It's happening billions of times over, and it's pretty much the reason you're, well, you.
Seriously, think about it for a second. That annoying paper cut you got this morning, it's already starting to heal. How does your body know how to whip up perfect new skin cells to patch that up? And how did you get from being a tiny baby to your size now without just, stretching? The answer to all of this is the exact same, really elegant process.
And yep, that process is mitosis. At its heart, it's actually beautiful in its simplicity. One cell becomes two. But the real magic is in the details. The two new daughter cells are perfect genetic clones of the original parent cell. We're talking the exact same DNA, the exact same number of chromosomes. It's a flawless copy every single time.
So, why does your body even need this perfect copy machine? Well, it boils down to a few critical jobs. First, growth. That's how you go from a single cell to a full-grown adult. Second, repair. That's healing the paper cut. Third is just simple maintenance, replacing old skin and blood cells that wear out every day. And for some organisms, it's even how they reproduce.
Now, before the main event of mitosis can even kick off, there's this super important preparation phase. It's called interphase, and honestly, it's the real unsung hero of the story. It does all the heavy lifting, and it's actually the longest part of a cell's life. It's where the cell gets totally ready for its big moment.
The best way to think about interphase is like training for a marathon. In the G1 phase, the cell is bulking up, it's growing, making proteins, just living its life. Then comes the S phase, and S stands for synthesis. This is the most important part of training, where the cell meticulously, carefully copies every single strand of its DNA. Finally, in the G2 phase, it does one last check, making sure all its equipment is ready to go for the big race.
So, this is a crucial point, and it's a super common mistake people make, so listen up. The DNA copying is already done before mitosis even starts. Mitosis isn't about making new DNA, it's about perfectly dividing the DNA that's already been copied. You gotta remember that.
All right, the prep work is done, the cell is ready. It's time for the main event. Mitosis itself is this amazing four-stage dance, and lucky for us, there's a simple little acronym that's basically your golden ticket to remembering the order.
PMAT, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. Say it with me, PMAT. Just burn this into your brain, because this is the unchangeable, sacred order of operations for cell division.
Okay, first up is prophase. This is the setup phase. The cell's DNA, which is usually all loose and messy, starts to coil up super tightly into those classic X-shaped chromosomes we all recognize from textbooks. Then, the wall of the command center, the nuclear membrane, just dissolves, which frees up the chromosomes so they can move around. And just to understand this, let's quickly clarify the difference between chromatin and a chromosome. Think of chromatin like a giant pile of spaghetti. That's your DNA's relaxed default state. A chromosome, that's the same spaghetti, but it's been neatly coiled and packed, ready to be moved efficiently. It's the same stuff, just packaged differently for the big move. Next up, metaphase. Remember this one, M for middle. In this stage, all those chromosomes get pulled into a perfect single-file line right down the equator of the cell. And this alignment is absolutely critical. The cell actually pauses right here to make sure everything is lined up just right before it moves on. It's a quality control checkpoint.
Then comes the most dramatic part, anaphase. A for apart. The two identical halves of each chromosome, they're called sister chromatids, are literally ripped apart. Tiny fibers pull one complete set of genetic instructions to the left side of the cell and the other identical set to the right. This is the big separation.
And finally, we have telophase, T for two. This is kind of the calm after the storm. The chromosomes have reached their destinations at opposite ends of the cell. Now, the cell starts to rebuild, forming two new nuclei, one around each set of chromosomes, and the chromosomes themselves start to relax and unwind back into that spaghetti-like chromatin form. So now we have one big cell with two separate command centers, two nuclei. But we're not quite done. Mitosis itself is technically over, but the cell still needs to make that final split into two separate cells. And that process has its own name, cytokinesis.
Cytokinesis is just the physical division of the cell's body. It's cytoplasm. In animal cells like ours, a little furrow forms and it pinches the cell in the middle, kind of like pulling a drawstring on a bag, until it pops into two. Plant cells can't do that because of their rigid cell wall, so instead, they just build a brand new wall right down the middle, separating the two new cells.
Okay, so we've walked through the whole elegant dance. But let's zoom back out. Why does getting this right matter so much? And what happens when this supposedly perfect copy machine goes wrong? This is where mitosis gets really interesting.
All right, for anyone studying this, I want you to lean in and listen closely. This next slide covers the most common points of confusion, the things you absolutely positively have to get right. Let's lock in these essentials. First, say it with me, DNA copies itself before mitosis in S phase. Second, the result is two identical cells that are diploid. That means they have the full, complete set of genetic instructions. Third, the chromosome number does not change. It stays the same from parent to daughter cell. Fourth, and this is huge for understanding disease, cancer is simply this process stuck in the on position. It's mitosis that just won't stop. And finally, never ever forget the order, PMAT is law.
And this table just brilliantly shows the key differences with that other type of cell division, meiosis. See? Mitosis is one division that makes two identical cells for growth and repair. Meiosis, on the other hand, is a whole different beast. It's two divisions that create four genetically different cells, like sperm and eggs, for sexual reproduction. And it halves the chromosome number along the way. They are fundamentally different tools for fundamentally different jobs.
So what does all this mean for you in real life? It means that when you get a cut, mitosis is what closes the wound. It's why your skin constantly regenerates and your hair grows. It's how your immune system can crank out millions of new cells to fight an infection. And it's how you developed from a single fertilized egg. Understanding it is also the absolute key to understanding and fighting cancer.
Which leaves us with a final and pretty huge question. We've called mitosis a perfect copy machine, but here's the thing. It can only be as perfect as the original blueprint. So, what happens when there's a typo in that original DNA? Well, the copy machine will just keep printing the error over and over and over again, and that right there is the basis for countless genetic conditions, and it's a challenge that lies at the very heart of human biology.